All right, I'm going. You going? Hi, I'm Lyman, and I'm here today with my good friend Marcel, and together we are presenting to you the Jazz and Grass and Other Stuff 2 podcast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Marcel. Man, I know we got this whole intro thing planned, but I feel like it would be better if we fumbled through it like the old days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm good. I like that the old days are 13 episodes ago, or whatever it is, 15 episodes, however many it is. Yeah, dude. I was up late last night, and I've just been sleepy all day, and I have to wake up a little bit earlier on Fridays to give lessons to this guy on the East Coast because he takes lessons before he goes to work. So he's crazy. But anyway, so I've been kind of tired all day, and I've been just checking through these lessons and doing what I got to do. And then out of nowhere, my friend texts me, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you my cousin's in town. Will you come to this concert and hang out? We're gonna tailgate beforehand. It's gonna be a whole thing." And I was like, "What?" And so I got to do that in literally in an hour or two. So it's crazy. But yeah, it's Derek Trucks, and I've never seen him before. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
a serious concert. Yeah, it's real stuff. And I was like, "What? How did this just happen?" And then randomly.
It's kind of like the whole Kesha Macklemore thing that happened to me a few weeks ago.
Just a random. Yeah, if you don't know who Derek Trucks is, he's a blues guy. He does slide. He does a lot of more Southern rock stuff. He played with the Allman Brothers for a good amount of time. But more importantly, just his band on their own, Derek Trucks band, I feel is what most people know him for now. But yeah, it's very jam rock kind of stuff, 12-minute solo kind of stuff. Yeah, he's a great player.
This last week has been super slow for me, and I'm super thankful for that because the 3 weeks before that it was just go, constant gigs, teaching, rehearsals, what have you. So I'm doing a little bit of a caffeine fast. I haven't had any caffeine in 3 days.
Oh, I thought maybe by caffeine fast you meant that you were only consuming caffeine and that you were fasting, nothing else you were having, only caffeine.
That was pretty much the last 3 weeks. Nothing but I got those NOS energy drinks. They were $3 for $5.
Oh right, yeah, you talked about them. You were drinking one on a podcast.
So yeah, my head has stopped hurting from the lack of caffeine. So that's a little bit exciting for me. I can go throughout my day without a damn headache.
You've gone through the worst stage of your withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, man. It's all uphill from here.
So how's your week been? That's cool. You're going to a super concert tonight. I wish I was going there.
Yeah. The week's been good. I've been, I don't know. I've been preparing for this whole trip. We talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, I think, but there's just a lot of stuff to do. And I already wrote so many Jazz and Grass licks for our Instagram account, Jazz and Grass, where we post a new lick every single weekday. That's Monday through Friday, alternating between jazz licks or bluegrass licks. Let's just pop that ad in there.
Nice segue.
Yeah, but I've been writing just tons of those. And if you didn't know, we record those. We call them sessions, where we go in and we record a bunch of licks, and then we release them slowly. We trickle release. But that's why Lyman's been wearing the same shirt since April 20th.
That's not why. It's just getting really, really crusty.
You're time to record my daily Jazz and Grass lick. Let me put on that same t-shirt. No, but yeah, I've just been doing a bunch of work on that stuff, and I've been trying to get ahead with my YouTube videos too, so I got stuff prepared to release. So that's a lot of scripting and writing. So much more goes into that than you think. It's crazy. Well, because at some point you will have your own YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm. For the longest time, I thought just record, chop a little bit, and then bam, you upload it a day later. But no, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, you need to get a big old like sacrificial slab. You got to get yourself some goats. We won't get into it now, but yeah, it's a whole thing.
How many licks are you preparing for the next session of Jazz and Grass?
Well, right now everything is like recorded and ready to go through September for me, I think. So I'm a ways ahead. But after that, I've just started writing them last night, and I wrote like 5 licks. So I mean that's like barely over a week. But I'm just gonna keep writing them so that way the next session I do will be a mega session again.
Mm-hmm.
Lyman has talked about it. You have like 1 million licks prepared.
I have. I'm good through September recorded, but I'm writing. I'm at the end stage of the writing of the next session, which is 120 licks.
Jeez.
I'm not gonna date them this time, so like if I get inspired to do something or do like a short series, like I can just do it. So I'm just gonna number them like 1 to 120.
Yeah.
I decided I want to change my shirts a little bit this time. So
nice. You're gonna have a stack of shirts next to you while you record your licks.
Yeah. There's actually a stack of shirts behind me. Like
nice. Is that them? Is that the plan?
Yep. 6 of them.
That's excellent. Yeah, I can't wait to do that too. Oh man. All right. After our weird intro, you want to tell the folks what they can do with their phones?
Oh yeah, you can call us or text us, and we will read out whatever you sent us, or we'll play your voicemail on the podcast. And that number is area code 724-257-1046. That's area code 724-257-1046.
Yeah, nice, man. I still haven't called into that. Still need to call into that just so I can hear your voice. Yeah, so I wanted to. This is the moment in our script where it says transition into episode Marcel. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Derek Trucks and like just that style of music in a really broad sense, and I mean that kind of like more like jam bandy kind of stuff. And neither of us have really done that. Have you ever played with a band that was really like that? I'm trying to think of bands you played with, and I can't really think of anyone. Am I wrong?
I played in a porno funk band in high school. I can't say the name of the band or any of the song titles.
Love it. I did not know that. That's some X-rated throwback.
But that was like the only guitar-y jam band I was ever a part of. It was just, lots of wah pedal, funky bass lines, and guitar solos.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people. I feel like that genre gets a lot of like trash talk directed towards it, and I've definitely been one of those people where I've said horrible things about a lot of bands that I won't name here because I don't want to make any enemies. But I feel like I'm realizing more and more that they might not deserve all of that hate, and it's not because I'm about to put on a tie-dye shirt or anything. Like I'm not going full hippie on us. I just feel like there is something really interesting about how well the ideas are spread out and how well they're like structured to like hit a peak, and how doing that is actually very much like an art form. It's just not what we're used to thinking about. Like in this podcast, we're always talking about like notes and chords and the arpeggios and the sharp 9s and the sharp 11s. And if you were playing Lyman Bingo just now, you would have won, but Lyman didn't say it. I said it, so it doesn't count. And, that's not how those guys are really thinking. That's not what they're doing. They're more like telling a story and more kind of a free way. And we're terrible at that. I'm terrible at that. If you gave me 12 minutes and you were like, all right, here's your telly, you make a solo that lasts 12 minutes and you make it interesting, and, a bunch of people have to listen to it and not leave. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. I was listening to Scott Henderson talk a little bit about soloing and storytelling, and like, well, all that I remember he said him saying was, you gotta tell a story with your solo. And my initial thought was, how do I do that? I mean, in most circumstances, I'll get like 132 bar pass through, maybe 2 if I'm lucky, and yeah, that's it's only like a minute max, and in that minute, most of the time I just want to shove as many notes as possible, like into that minute, and try to be clever with, oh, look where I put the sharp 11 over this secondary dominant chord.
Everyone remember to check off your free square before you get going on Lyman Bingo.
But like creating an arc is super important, and it's something I'm trying to work on. I wish I had more tips and tricks on how to make an arc like throughout your solo, but I don't, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. I mean, I feel like I'm in the same boat. These bluegrass breaks, with the tempos as fast as they are, sometimes they're, literally like less than 10 seconds long. And you go through the entire form that quick. It's crazy. And the idea of trying to build some kind of arc there is fairly impossible. Guys still do it by like stating the melody in, more of the like first quarter of those 10 seconds, and then, drifting away or bringing it back at the very end or doing something. You can still make it effective or believable, but it's nothing compared to trying to do something over 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's like composition on like a large scale.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know. Yeah, even if you're talking about just like, actually, I don't know. Like you're playing with a jazz band and you get like that first break after the head, you might actually have a chance to build some kind of arc, because it's like the first half was the melody and now you have the time to like drift away. But that's the only circumstance you really get where you would have that much time, right? I mean, unless you took like, like 4 or 5 passes, and I know those guys do, but still, I mean, that's most of the time doesn't feel very like overarching. It feels like 5 passes.
I've never talked about this. I was in a duo jazz project, which was really, really against the spirit of jazz, because I was playing with a drummer, I was playing guitar, and then I used my computer and I pushed buttons to trigger bass parts, and they were just recordings of me playing over a standard, like on the bass. And so like I had a very set number of choruses I got to take every song, because I was the only melody instrument.
Yeah. That's really weird.
It was very strange, and I was surprised it lasted as long as it did. It lasted 3 months.
Yeah.
We brought in a singer for a little while, and that was the absolute worst. But yeah, I programmed myself, 5 to 6 choruses. Still, like the first like month, it was just.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
I think towards the end, I'm getting sidetracked again. That line should be a bingo square.
Yeah.
That exact line. I started to try to do some more overarching, like come up with motifs. I don't know. That was my attempt at coming up with a beginning of a line. And a lot of times, like I'll start a solo and I'll be like, okay, here's where I'm gonna start my story, and then by chorus 2 I have forgotten what I'm doing, and again it just goes back to
normally in bluegrass, the ideas that we're trying to put out through a solo tend to be, I think, smaller and more obvious, just so that they really stand out and they're apparent at the, at those speeds. I think of the triplet one the most, where people will start this like. Right, and your solo has this whole like feeling of every once in a while having that neat little skip in it, but it doesn't. I don't know. Even though bluegrassers call it that, I don't think it really fits the requirements of what those motifs normally feel like in other genres. I don't know. In bluegrass, it feels a little random and dropping, but once again, I think that just has to do with the improvisational nature of bluegrass and how it has to come out of the instrument. A little bit of a shame.
Speaking of storytelling, let's bring it back a little bit. Back to Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I was gonna let you go off on that.
Nice. Yeah. So anyway, about this thing, I've never been to even a concert kind of like this. So this will be fun to talk about later. But yeah, I like the tailgating beforehand and the whole like culture, like a little more like the jam band culture and like the whole thing. Definitely not something I've experienced at any kind of show or concert that I'd go to. And I'm wondering what I'm gonna think. I really feel like I want to have my opinion changed about the whole like jam band kind of thing and jamgrass too as a movement, because I really do think it's creative and interesting. I don't think it deserves quite as much crap as it gets.
Yeah. How much do you think mindset has to go into that? Like, how much do you think mindset has to do with going into a situation like that?
You mean like mindset of the listener?
Yeah. And the performer, like both. Like, that's two separate questions.
Yeah, I think I think that going into a performance like that or turning on a piece of music like that, it definitely takes a little bit of like understanding. But I think most music does, and lots of people are really bad at that. The only skills that they have in that direction are with more modern music, and I notice that a lot. Cause sometimes when you turn on these like jazz recordings or bluegrass or country recordings from like, 1930 or whatever, you have to like explain a couple of things before it feels worth listening to. And I don't mean that to be harsh at all, but I mean, if we're talking about modern audiences, it's worth explaining how it was recorded and why it was recorded, and also what these people were doing, because they have no frame of reference for what's going on in these recordings, why it's fun to listen to them. And I think you're walking into a little bit of the same situation here. If you've, if you're not used to the whole attitude of like, I'm hearing a story and I'm hearing a big, like we keep saying, overarching idea that's going to last a long time and is going to be developed in a creative way, but not through like note choice or complicated chords or like substituting chords. None of that is going to be involved. I'm listening to like diatonic landscapes and
call back.
And I have to go on this journey. I think it very much has to do with that. Speaking of that, taking us off subject again, I found this band today, really weird band. They're like a cult / band, and they're very like, I don't know, Electric Light Orchestra or like a little bit like Queen, and just that more like experimental, like gaudy kind of rock, like the darkness too. They're called Church of the Cosmic Skull. Church of the Cosmic Skull. And I pulled up my phone like up in the morning, like when I woke up, and normally I turn on like YouTube and I just watch whatever, trash videos. But for some reason that was recommended to me. And I was like, okay. And I listened to it. And I think because it was like early in the morning and like I didn't really have any opinions about how my day was going to go or what kind of music I wanted to listen to, I was just really feeling it. I felt really good. I was like, wow, I'm listening to this weird, like, it's not heavy or anything. I mean, like, it's lighter than like Led Zeppelin. It's like, here I am listening to this, like, space math rock that has like cult aspects. But I loved it. Yeah. And go to their website. You can sign up for their cult. I'm not even joking.
Church of the Black Skull?
Church of the Cosmic Skull.
Church of the Cosmic Skull.
Yeah, dude. Write that down. Check that out later because they're super cool. I by the way, just for the sake of this, I imagine it's some kind of giant joke. I have no idea, but it seems fairly goofy.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out because smooth segue. I've been watching a lot of Metalocalypse lately. Did you ever watch Metalocalypse?
I did. I didn't like watch all of them or anything, but like I had a passing interest. I enjoyed the documentary even more though. Just watching Brendan Small like try to manage like the live show and making all the episodes and like all the time in the recording studio. Just oh my god, he does so much work.
Brendan Small is a national treasure as far as I'm concerned.
So yeah, for the people that don't know, what is Metalocalypse?
Metalocalypse is a show about a band called Death Clock, and they are the in the show's universe, they are the 12th largest economy in the world. It's a band of 5 sort of bumbling idiots who are all billionaires, and they essentially have a cult following, and it's their misadventures in playing shows and trying to do normal activities that people do. Like the first episode, they kill their chef on accident, and they have to go to the grocery store and buy groceries to cook food. They can't do it. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. It's full of a lot of like musician humor too. Like, I don't know, like the bass player can't record his own parts and stuff like that.
They mix him out of every single track. But it's the brainchild of this musician comedian called Brendan Small. Who records all the guitar, all the bass parts. I think he does all the lead vocals as well. But my first introduction to Brendan Small, and by extension, John Benjamin of Bob's Burgers and Archer fame, was through the show he created called Home Movies.
Which was a wonderful show.
Strange show. It was written via retroscripting, which is a technique where you just sort of write down like a kind of rough idea, and then you get everybody in a room and you just improvise on it. And the first season was animated in this style called squiggle vision,
mm-hmm.
which the outlines of all the characters would just be moving to give the impression that there was more motion in the animation than there really was.
Yeah, the show was about a bunch of kids that like filmed movies in like their basement and I guess around town and stuff. And they were all like very well produced and very poorly produced at the same time. Like their costume budget and like set budget was seemingly limitless, but like all the acting was always terrible. And every once in a while you just get to see a little clip of these films that they made. They're always based on like other properties and stuff, but just funny. And H. John Benjamin was the soccer coach, and he was
Coach
always
McGurk.
Yeah, he was always trying to date Brendan's mom. Hey, Brendan, how's your mom doing?
But Brendan Small, I'm pretty sure I don't know if he graduated from the Berklee College of Music, but I know he went to the Berklee College of Music. He's an absolute shredder. Like it's just ridiculous. And this show Metalocalypse, gets to showcase his shredding ability a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious that he did so much other animation and cartoons and writing and stuff, and then he should have done this first. He's like, oh yeah, I play guitar and I can play all the parts in a metal band, and why don't I make a show about a metal band? I don't know why he didn't do that earlier. And yeah, it's crazy too, because all the skill sets are totally different. The singing and the guitar playing, and even the rhythm guitar playing and the bass playing. I don't know. His solos are great. They sound like, I don't want to say a real guitar player, because he is a real guitar player, and that's what's weird, is that it's fake. But they have concerts and shows and everything. You can go see a Metalocalypse concert. Well, you could. I don't know if they still do it.
I don't think you can anymore because Adult Swim. The story is just going to be forever unended. It ended on a major cliffhanger, and we're never going to get to see the end. I'm really upset about that.
That's a bummer. Yeah, everyone tweet at Brendan.
Don't tweet at Brendan. He knows. Everybody tweet at Adult Swim. They're the ones.
Yeah. Don't add Brendan.
But besides Metalocalypse, have you listened to much metal like that in your journey?
No, I did play drums for a metal band. I don't know if I've ever said that on the podcast.
You did on the Secret podcast.
Oh, it was on the Secret podcast? Well, spoilers, I played drums for a metal band called Maggot Therapy. Yeah, no, that's all of my experience with metal is basically Metalocalypse and Maggot Therapy, I think.
When I was growing up, I listened to a little bit of Guar, and I got into Children of Bodom or whatever for 2 days.
2 days.
I went through that phase as a guitar player that I looked at metal and shredding as the apex of being a guitar player, and I feel like a lot of guitar players go through that.
Yeah, there's a joke about that says you start playing classic rock, then you want to learn metal, and then you try learning jazz, and then you end up playing country. And that's your arc as a guitar player. Oh man, you've already gone through it. You just gotta hit your country phase, and you're done. You've reached your final form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there. Yeah. I haven't reached my final form yet. Well, maybe I have, but I don't feel like I spent enough time in the jazz department.
I'll learn how to play country someday. Maybe when I move away from a town that listens to country music all the time.
Yeah, most people say the opposite. They move to an area to embrace the culture. You're as soon as I get away from this place, then I'll learn country music.
I had a good friend who was listening to we played in a funk band together, and we played some jazz together, and then all of a sudden he went to this country music festival and put a tarp in the back of his truck and filled it with water and made a country pool. And then when he came back, he was all into the country music, and so I was getting excited about that. I'm okay, we'll learn some country. And then I moved, and everybody down here listens to country, so I'm deciding to be a hipster. Yeah. No, I don't want to do that.
As soon as you can be hipster about it somewhere else, then you're gonna embrace the meme.
Oh yeah. Embracing the meme.
Yeah, on the subject of country music too, this podcast is just all over the place. This is just us talking at this point. No real subject, no real direction. Yeah, I really don't like when people say, "Oh, I listen to everything except country music." It's such like it's such like a failure in self-education. Like you get to pick what music you listen to. And I understand that not everyone gets exposed to every single genre when they're when they're kids or anything. But there's part of every genre deserves some kind of respect, even if it's some real passing thing like we're talking about. Like, I don't know anything about metal, but I do love Brendan Small. So, you can find something that's worth it, right? And I think that people, and country music is the one that gets thrown under the bus the most. I think the people that are doing that are severely missing the point too. And it's obvious. It's obvious to people who can see what's happening, like that Chris Stapleton hit, Tennessee Whiskey, that just everyone loved that tune. It's like all over the place. Everyone's covering it. Everyone's trying to sing it and no one can sing it. And everyone's like, oh yeah, but I don't like country music, but I like that song. I got news for you. If you don't like country music, but you like Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton, you like country music. There's the country music that you like. You just admitted it. What are you talking about?
I cover that song. Not even joking.
I love it. Well, who do you cover that with?
A local band around here called Crownless with my friend Tyler, who is an amazing singer-songwriter. Shout out to Tyler. You're probably never going to listen to this.
How about that run, though? Nailing that run in the chorus?
That diatonic landscape
Yes,
run.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's more complicated than that, but I'll let you have it.
Yeah, I listened to the real version once, and that's what she puts in the chorus. So that's the run that I know.
I would sing it, but this is being recorded, so there's no way I'm just gonna give it up like that.
Mm-hmm. And no copy strikes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm gonna play the guitar part now, just so close to the actual recording. How close am I? Are these the right chords?
Yeah, you got it.
There you go.
That also is pretty much the same as that Etta James song, I'd Rather Go Blind.
Yeah, that's where he got it from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like an admitted thing. And then the words, Tennessee Whiskey, they're the words from an old George Jones tune. It's the exact same words. And so his band was jamming on the Etta James tune, and he just started singing the words from a different song, and everyone was like, that's incredible. Why don't you do that? So he did.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
Oh, so the whole song is a meme?
And it being a hit is the nation embracing the meme.
I love meme songs.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had no idea that was the case either until a couple months ago. Someone showed it to me, and I was like, "Whoa!"
We should just talk about like our favorite meme songs of the moment.
Okay, what's your favorite meme song?
Well, I gotta go with the classic, Rick Astley.
Oh, really?
Never Gonna Give You Up. Oh yeah, like I got that Rick Astley tape just sitting right over there.
I had I taught guitar at a middle school, and I used to just help teach their guitar program. And then eventually the teacher had me back and was like, how about every week on Tuesday, like I just let you have the class and they get to do something, a little bit different, something like that. And so I got the kids together, and they had been learning, just like you were talking about in a couple podcasts ago, about learning out of the book, and they had been learning their scales there and everything. And I was teaching them some chords because they hadn't learned any chords yet. So that was the first thing that I wanted to show them. And then I asked them, what songs do you guys want to learn? Like, what's cool right now? Educate me, right? And I let them create a bunch of suggestions, and I wrote them down on the board, and then we had like a little vote for what it would be. And the John Cena theme song almost won, won.
No.
And it lost to, and I was super shocked. It lost to the theme song from The Office. And
really?
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, you kids, you middle schoolers, like this show's already over. It's been over for a while. You vote for that theme song? So we did as an entire like classroom. At the school, we learned the Office theme song, and they performed it for like a little school assembly too.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, it was super weird.
I've also been into that song, "Big Enough." That sort of house country thing with the scream in the middle.
Yes, I know this song. Yeah, that you've been really jamming to that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I saw the meme, just the scream meme over people's screams, and then I actually looked it up, and the song is hilarious. It's two cowboys in the music video, but the song's got some really gay overtones, and I mean that technically.
Yeah, like literally. That's what's happening in the song.
Homosexual overtones.
Yes. Did you ever hear that Chris D'Elia bit where he's talking about how his friend did the gayest thing ever, and immediately the audience is like a little bit weird because 2018 now and everything, and he says, no, literally, he says, my friend bought me a pair of pants and they fit great, and he was like, there is nothing in this world that's like more homosexual than being able to look at someone and just know what kind of pants would fit them. I thought that was super funny. Yeah, he managed to like convince the audience that he wasn't offensive, and that's incredible in this day and age. Anyway, yeah, on the subject of meme songs and you bringing up this country meme song, have you seen the anyone who's watching this podcast, please go check it out. But Billy Ray Cyrus's updated "Achy Breaky Heart."
I've heard the song. I haven't seen the music video.
So yeah, he released like an updated version with like a rapper, and it's just like a crappy, just like club music video. Like he's got like the girls in bikinis and everything, and it's supposed to be like cool and hip with like rap breaks, but it's so embarrassing. I think it's the most embarrassed I've ever been while watching someone else's music video. like when I was done watching the music video for that, I was like, man, I gotta watch some like teenagers in the woods film their own music video for a metal song, because that will be less cringy than what I just watched.
Did you pull up that Neil deGrasse Tyson GIF?
Yes,
of him going through space.
Yes. Jeez. Yeah, check
Cringe
out.
Is too strong.
Billy Ray Cyrus's updated "Achy Breaky Heart," man.
Yeah, I don't think I want to, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
That's how these things go.
What do you think about the resurgence of Toto's Africa?
Yeah, that's such a funny story. Some girl was just like tweeting at Weezer over and over again to like record the song, and they finally did. I mean, it's already been kind of a meme song, like.
Yeah.
Like, it was already playing like different roles. And there's that one YouTube video that's got millions of views. It's just a couple guys singing it in a coffee shop, and it sounds so good. You seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that video. I've heard some claims that they use live pitch correction.
Yeah, that they're tuning their vocals. Yeah, I heard that too. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true or anything. I mean, like listening to it, that's why it sounds so good. But still a wonderful performance. Yeah,
like use those tools. Use every tool you have to make yourself sound better. But yeah, that was a super cool performance. I remember trying to learn Andy McKee's version of that song, Um, have you ever seen that Andy McKee playing
I don't think I have.
Africa? Oh, it's incredible.
It's a jam.
It's a jam. He tunes his guitar like I think it's like something ridiculous like G C D or G C A. I don't remember. I remember like trying to learn it and getting the tuning right when I tried. But
yeah, I'm watching
it's a really
it
weird tuning
right now. Yeah, that's super weird. He's got fan frets too.
Oh, is this the updated version?
It must be.
Does he have hair?
Kind of.
Like on his head? Like, does he have any hair on his head?
Yeah, it looks like he's like, he's buzzed short though. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, the original version, like he just had that shaved head and he looked like a total, like, mountain man with the beard and the shaved head. Big monster hands playing guitar. Have you listened to much of Andy McKee's other stuff?
No, not at all. Is that all like that? That kind of, what do we call that? Like that acoustic guitar kind of tapping, kind of drumming on it and like all of that. Is there a word for that?
I think they call it finger style.
Don't do this to me. You know what I'm talking about though.
No, like I think that's the technical term, like finger style, like with the tappies and the drums and whatever.
The tappies and the drums. You obviously know a lot. You're obviously an expert.
But yeah, most of his stuff is like that. A couple of my favorites of his are Drifting and a song called Rylan.
Cool, I'll check it out. It doesn't have the same star appeal as Africa by Toto, but
Yeah. I remember discovering his stuff in like 2007 or 2008. So like the time when it was cool to see a video on YouTube that had this video is 1 year old thing on it. Wow, that's such an old video.
Yeah. It's incredible how much YouTube has changed. It's such a different landscape now.
Everything is so well produced.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, me and my girlfriend were talking about that the other day. We were talking about Jenna Marbles. And if you don't know who Jenna Marbles is, you've probably seen her video that's called How to Trick People into Thinking You're Good Looking. And it's just like her looking like goofy and then like drowning herself in makeup until she looks like, she's like clubbing or something, like some kind of like going out outfit. And that video looks terrible. Like it's horrible. Like it looks like it was filmed on like a webcam, like on the other side of like an aquarium. Like the quality is so bad. And she became a star. She became famous. She's still making videos. And she's still like, I think the most popular woman on YouTube. But when you look at all the people's first videos now, they look wonderful. And you realize that you have to start out like already making great content to go anywhere. That sucks.
Yeah. The train of like anybody can be a YouTube star. You just have to put something out there that is relatable. Like that's long past. You got to put something out there that's relatable, optimized and looks professional.
Yeah. And I don't think it's as dramatic as some people want to say it is. I mean, I think that could still happen. I mean, like the Beeb still happened and that was, I guess that was a while ago too. But I mean, like things like that are still happening. Like small channels are still getting discovered. It's just an even smaller percentage. And next year it's going to be an even smaller percentage. The year after that, it's going to be even smaller. So yeah, I think the smart thing to do with starting your new content is to make good videos because otherwise no one's ever going to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube knows too, with all its algorithms and stuff like that, can tell if the audio is good and if the video is good and everything else. And they'll promote your videos more if they look good and all of that.
So yeah, meme songs. Meme songs are pretty dope. It's my life goal to form a meme band.
Yeah, your own meme cover band.
Yeah, just play meme songs. Of course, I'd have to, play Sandstorm.
Of course. Yeah, and all the band members can dress like different memes. You, I assume, would dress like some kind of velociraptor, but somehow make that look philosophical. Some kind of velociraptor.
Yeah, I was thinking we just do a little bit of playing to close this out, like a little bit of playing and talking about like things we do, things we like, things we're working on.
Sounds good. Real Loose podcast, continuing real loose.
I like the loose feel we've established the last few weeks.
High school guitar off?
Yeah. Coffee strike time.
Yeah. No. Wait, where's that actually start? Yeah.
Remember that Lil Jon song that I think it was Lil Jon that covered that had that guitar line in it?
Yeah, probably the greatest song ever made by the sound of it. I mean, you've combined two wonderful things. It's like peanut butter and jelly. I already know it's going to go together, you know?
Let me see if I can't read this lick that I just wrote for Jazz and Grass. It does a thing that I do all the time, which is that sort of like just pattern based. But the lick is behind the scenes look. Like I actually like write these licks out and forget how to play them, and then I have to relearn how to play them for the recording.
Yeah, that's a little too real for me. You're hitting home.
So that's part of my. I titled the file "Crazy Outlines." So like lots of triadic, chromatic. Weird large intervals, things that sound outside.
Yeah, the funny thing is that you have to remember how to play it and like why you thought of it, and like you have to re-justify why it's good while you're recording it, and you're like, oh yeah, this is worth it. Do you change them too? Like sometimes when I'm like recording them, I'm like, I don't like that anymore, and I change how it is so I get something more interesting in the moment.
Was that like the intro to your YouTube videos?
No, that's man, I actually played that in a while. It's weird to hear it not in a video.
I like the fiddle part.
I have no idea what it actually is, but yeah, it's some kind of little harmony.
Mm.
Yeah, that's I don't know if you ever met Joey. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Bellingham people, not important. Yeah, man, I wrote a lick that used a super weird thing that I hadn't thought of before, and it's not super weird. I think I'm just dumb, but you know the idea of walking up from the seventh to the root, and then I realized that if you do that like on your low E. Right after that, you have the third and the fifth available to you. And then right after that, you can do that again. And I'd never done that particular, like, diagonal arpeggio. For whatever reason, I hadn't done that one. And so I just dropped it right into a lick just because it was interesting to me at the time. And it was something like... right, to like just make it bluegrassy at the end. But I thought that was such a good idea, and I was like, man, I've done like minor sixth versions of this, and like I've done other stuff with this. Like, why haven't I thought of that one? I felt so dumb.
That's like straight out of one of the bebop scales.
Right, that chromatic thing with the seventh.
Have you ever looked into bebop scales very much?
I only like. I've looked at a couple of them. Like I understand why they did that, but no, like I haven't spent time like making licks out of them and stuff, and like not being an idiot about it.
The bebop scale concept was kind of hard for me to grasp until like I realized like it's just an 8-note scale and you put one extra note into it, and that note can be let's take C major. It can be between the 6th and the 7th, between the 5th and the 6th, between the 4th and the 5th, and between the 9 and the 3rd. So you get like a bunch of different scales. Like that was not one of the ones I just said.
The idea though is that by adding this extra note, you can control which notes are landing on like consonant beats or not, right? What's on like a downbeat or an upbeat.
Yeah,
right.
Like it becomes an even number instead of an odd number.
Yeah. I think that bluegrass musicians do that a lot. Like constantly they're throwing in chromatic notes to make things make sense. But I think it's a lot more like mishmashed than it's not as organized to thinking as what you're talking about with the specific scales.
But yeah, if I have a pattern, like I'll just, instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to use this bebop scale, I'm thinking, I'm just going to use this extra note over this line. Or, so yeah, you can start on the 3rd and end on the 3rd a bar later if you're playing, 8th notes. Rather than doing something like, having to start on the 9 to land on the root.
A good way to start thinking about that, if you haven't done anything like that yet, is take a line that's not working because you're landing on an offbeat, right? And you want to land on a downbeat, let's say. And then just look at the whole lick and just say, where is one spot where I can fit one extra note? That's actually, it's not too bad of a way of thinking about it. I mean, lots of people like are having that thought process in their brain. They just have it, in like 1/300th of a second. They decide that they're going to do that. So it'll work out in the future, even though they haven't even decided what they're going to play. Crazy how that works.
Enclosures is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like in the key of C, going down to F, or if you play C7. What I use enclosures for is to try to delay that resolution, like.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff like that. I'll just play a line where I know I use a lot of enclosures. I love that enclosure. Or instead of playing, just G to E, use that little enclosure. G sharp, F sharp, G, F, D, E flat, E. Use that enclosure too. Repeat it. That's an enclosure I use all the time. Yeah.
There's a similarity too in how you're using it. And actually, maybe I'm totally wrong, but I feel like in the bebop language, that's one of those moments where it's okay to kind of land on a weird note on a downbeat, assuming it's part of an enclosure and you're going to wrap it up in some way that makes sense. Your ear, when listening to bebop languages, it accepts that weird note a lot more than it might have necessarily. If you think about like resolving into new chords, and like generally you would land on, like the third of the new chord or whatever you happen to pick. And then in this case, you could pick a really weird note, assuming that you're going to wrap it up in this enclosure.
Yeah, that's how I think of it. I've been really trying to like break it down and conceptualize it like into words so I can explain it better rather than just wanking a little bit. That bingo square has got to be just like...
Yeah, it's full. I got bingo like 10 minutes ago, but I'm working on 2 cards, so...
that square's got to, have just ink dripping through the other side at this point.
Yeah, dude. That's the enclosure thing is really interesting, too. It's funny how... I don't know, you notice that in other genres, too. Like how much the enclosure thing isn't just a jazz thing, and I don't think anyone should think about it that way. I'm thinking of like a children's song example. But there's an ending to like kid songs, like this kind of thing. It really is, I mean, like lower than the note, higher than the note, here's the note. So you get this like, oh, that one doesn't work. What about? Kind of, but I'm thinking of those kind of like lines that you get like after. Of course, I can't do an effective one right now, but I feel like you hear them in instances like that in your like late 1800s diatonic landscapes. You get enclosures all the time.
Yeah, diatonic enclosures. Like, I feel like those are super common. Like, probably even in pop songs today. Like, I can't think of any examples now.
I got one. Not for pop music. I got one for country music, though. The beginning of Lovesick Blues, the Yodel Boy song, sounds like this. So it's got an enclosure right there in the middle, which is weird. I never thought about it like that, but thinking about it like it now, it is.
Clarity. I think the artist was Zed. Yeah, that's an enclosure. Yeah. Or we could classify it as an enclosure. I mean, you could probably use music theory to justify literally anything.
Yeah, you just need the right words at the right moment.
But yeah, that's one thing I've been thinking about. Like, how can I conceptualize enclosures in a way that's easier to understand and more quickly apply? Because, like, I feel like I've just been building off of, a Charlie Parker solo or something that I learned, like, several years ago.
Well, those things are, good for you, and they're good for your students, too. you think of something that you learned how to do at some point, and either you've forgotten how you learned it, or you never even really understood how you learned it, and you just added it to your language. Yeah, eventually at some point you're going to have to explain it to someone else, and you have to make sure that you understand what it is. And I think a lot of what I kept talking about today about, with the bebop scales and with the enclosures, which notes are landing on what part of the beat, whether the downbeat or the upbeat, is something that I hadn't considered for a long time, and something that was just, had become ingrained in my playing. Then I noticed that I was doing a bad job with my students listening to their improvisations and not correcting that when I heard it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's something that I should talk about, because I've forgotten that it was important. I just do it now. Yeah.
I feel like the enclosure thing for me was a real slow going process, like just acquiring, tiny little building block here, another building block years later. And I feel like now I'm just starting to have a real grasp of the concept.
Just enclosing the hell out of everything.
Yep. Close it up. Close-o says me.
All right, dude. I think
that's a podcast.
Yeah, I think we're at it. I think we did it.
Yeah.
Go team.
Woo!
All right, everyone. My name's Marcel. I'm the grass side of Jazz and Grass. I do all of the bluegrass and country talking on this podcast and over on our Instagram page, Jazz and Grass. If you want to find any more of me, you should check out my YouTube channel, Lessons with Marcel. I post a new YouTube video every single Wednesday. You can also find me on the big 3 social media platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can check out my website, lessonswithmarcel.com. There's a bunch of free stuff. There's some stuff you can pay for, and that's where you can sign up for Skype lessons. And I think that's it.
I'm Lyman Lipke. You can find me at lymanlipke.com. You can find links to my SoundCloud page, where I release a track 2 times a week. Sorry, I got super distracted. I just realized it's Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. Oh, weird.
So I'm going to try to leave my house as little as possible today.
Superstitious.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Nice. That's The Office, yeah?
Yep. Sick reference.
Dude, this guy has dope references. Love your references, bro.
What is that referencing?
I didn't remember what that's from. I think it's from like a Seth Rogen kind of thing. Anyway, doesn't matter.
LymanLipke.com. That leads you to all the places on the internet where I would like you to find me.
Lots of great references for where else you can find Lyman on the internet.
You could say it's sort of an enclosure of me.
Bingo.
So what do we do together?
Yeah, the last thing we do is the Instagram account, Jazz and Grass. That's a new jazz lick or bluegrass lick every single weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I post the licks on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Lyman posts them on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Friday, we post twice because odd numbers scare us. And
yeah, that's why I use the bebop scale.
Yeah, all those licks are wonderful. Please go to that page, learn them, post them online, tag us in it because we love seeing people learn them. Also, we do this podcast. So if you're wondering why we don't post licks on Instagram during the weekend, that's because we're recording this on the weekend. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you want to, talk to us, call us. The number you can reach us at is area code 724-257-1046. That's 724-257-1046. And I'm getting a call from Enumclaw, Washington right now.
Don't answer it, man. That place is scary.
I didn't. If I don't know your number, I am not answering the phone. And if you call the podcast hotline, it is impossible for one of us to answer. It's literally a voicemail only line. So you don't have to worry about
You don't have to talk to Lyman.
us yelling at you. Yeah, you don't have to talk to me. And you can call it, any odd hour of the night, and it's not going to bother us.
Yeah, if you want either of our private phone numbers, just shoot us an email. We can hook you up. Anyway, I think that's a podcast.
That's a podcast. We did it. We're still doing it. It's happening. We're doing it.
See y'all next time.